Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 96 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and get into other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and thank you for coming back another week to see what I've been up to. Today is Saturday, January 29th, 2022, and we've got a frosty day here today. It's bright and blue skies and sunny out, and it's only about 12 Fahrenheit. So it's a little chilly, and it's windy. We've missed the most of the storm that's going up the East Coast right now, and yesterday in the evening we had maybe a half an inch to an inch of snow. Not even that much, I think, probably closer to a half an inch of snow. So we got off lightly with this storm. Others, sounds like they're getting a lot more snow. So welcome, I'm so happy you're all here today. So let's address the elephant, or the Muppet, the Muppet pelt in the room. I finished my Sunday cardigan, and I'm not sure what I think of it. I'm maybe not a fan of this particular mohair. It's fluffy, very fluffy, and it's knitted a large gauge, so it's like a Muppet. I feel like a Muppet when I'm wearing this thing, but it's done. Originally, this is a pattern by Petite Knit, and it was knit on 8mm needles. I used Katja and Genua, which is a mohair blend. It's mostly mohair, 70-something% mohair, some polymed, and wool. And I held it double with fingering weight bare yarn. So just a cream color, whitish color yarn I held double with the mohair. And it's done. So the pattern called for rolling the collar under. I like it better as is. So I opted for not turning the collar down. I think it might just be the way it fits me that I like it better. There's no need to roll the collar down and to stitch it down. I have not added the buttons yet, and I'm not 100% sure I will. I ordered a big packet of buttons. I think there's like 25 or 30 in this packet. They're 1.25 inch wood look. I don't know if they're really wood, but it's a wood appearing buttons. So I have those if I do want to put buttons on, but I don't like the fit. The shoulders on me fit funny. It probably would fit more it will fit more comfortably if I lost some weight. It fits nicely across the bust, and then once it gets, I don't know if I bound off too tightly, although it doesn't really feel like a tight bind off. I cannot get the very bottom of it together. It does not fit around the lower half of my belly. So I don't know. I might end up just wearing it as something that I just wear open. So if I add the buttons, I think looks funny because the bottom button would not ever be done up. It could not be done up unless I drop some weight, which is a plan. I do need to work on that, and I do need to work on losing some weight. And this might be more incentive to do so, because the sweater is so toasty warm. I'm not sure, I don't think I'm going to wear it through the whole podcast today because it's also a little bit itchy. Against my bare neck, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But for what it's worth, my Sunday cardigan is done. And there was a few times when I was working on it, felt like especially when I was doing the last of the sleeves, it felt like I was wrestling with a Muppet. It really did. I have a friend of mine that's working on, I can't remember if it's a blanket or something, but it's with a fluffy yarn. And she said she's nicknamed it her Muppet pelt. And I'm starting to think this might be what this is. I kind of feel like the Cookie Monster when I'm wearing this. But it is what it is. I enjoyed knitting on it. It was a fun knit, a relatively quick knit because it's on large needles, 2 strands held together. It's a heavier weight yarn that way. It was a fun knit. I just wish it fit around my belly. It has not been blocked yet, so that might fix it. Maybe I will soak it and lay it out and see if that loosens up the bottom of the sweater. I'm just afraid that it might lengthen it. Well, we'll see. I suspect I will give it a block this week, Monday, Tuesday maybe, and see what I think of it then. Worst case scenario, it's still not wearable. But I enjoyed knitting it. I used up some of my yarn. Worst case scenario, if it never fits me, I probably will add the buttons and either give it away to somebody or donate it someplace. Either way. But I will try I will try blocking it first and see if that fixes the bottom half of it. The top fits if it was buttoned up, the top would fit nicely. And I'm not that disproportionate. I'm proportionally big. It's not like I've got tiny little shoulders and a tiny bust and huge hips. I'm consistently big. I got a sneeze coming. There we go, sneeze is gone. I didn't subject you to the sneeze. Might be the fluffies from the sweater. So I think what I'll do is I will take it off now and not keep wearing it for this because it is warm. I can feel my cheeks are really flushed and warm. So it is a very warm sweater, but I just wish it fit properly. But there she is. So like I say, I will block it. So it has this neat expanding rib pattern along the top part, and then it just goes down into plain stockinette, down the sleeves and down the body. But it does, you can see what I mean, it does look like a Muppet. It's a lot of fabric. Say it's not a dainty little size, so it's a lot of fabric, and it resembles a Muppet. It really does. But I like it. I just wish it fit me properly. But I will block it on the weekend or next week, and I will let you know next week how that goes and how that turned out. Now I've got to get the fluff off my face. That's the other thing. I might not be a huge fan of mohair in general, just because of the fluffies. But it was fun working with it. Someone gave me a lot of this fluffy yarn, so I will have to decide what I'm going to do with the rest of the yarn. Cup of tea today, just plain ordinary black tea. My mom mailed me a package of Red Rose tea bags. I can't get Red Rose tea down here, and I like Red Rose tea, and especially because I can't, sorry for the crinkles, especially since I can't get it here easily. So my mom mailed me some for Christmas, and I'm working my way through. I think she got like a 75 or 100 pack of tea bags, so I'm enjoying those. So that's 3 for 3 weeks in a row. I finished my sort of shorty Halloween socks 3 Saturdays ago. Last Saturday I had finished my Advent cowl or Advent scarf for 2021. This week I have completed my Sunday cardigan. I'm down to two works in progress. The first one, I'll try doing this without losing control of it, is my Shawlography by Stephen West. And this one is the next project I have that is closest to completion. And fingers crossed, I hope to have this done next week. It might not be blocked by next week. I'm hoping I can finish the knitting and get it blocked and 100% done for next week. But come back in a week and see if that actually happened. So after I finished my Sunday cardigan, I got back to working on Shawlography, and I finished. It's like I'm wrestling with this thing. I just don't want the needles to come loose from where they are. So it is a scrunchy bunchy mess. So last week I had completed the brioche section, and then I was ready to start the crisscross section. And it looks kind of neat. It will look a lot better once the border is added and it's blocked. But this section, the crisscross section, was a section on this shawl that I disliked the most. It was very fiddly. I just found it very awkward to work. The stitches, because you're using a method where you do yarn overs and then you drop the stitches, so the stitches to create these really cute crisscrosses, the stitches are really loosey-goosey, and they were very awkward to work with, and I struggled with it. And there's a boatload of them. There's, I think, 52 or 54, 53. With the beginning and the end, there's 53 crisscrosses across the width of the shawl. So there was a boatload of them to do, and each and every one of them were fiddly as all get out for me. It might have been the yarn I was working with. I'm not sure. But either way, I did get it done. I finished with these crisscrossy guys yesterday, just on Friday. So those are done now. And now I am, come back here. I am starting the border. And the border is, come here. The border is done. It'll start off in like a funky kind of square shape so that we can get to the point where we're doing angled sections in a garter stitch that are each color is going to come out of each one of these crisscrosses. So the border is going to take me a while to do. That was probably the most awkward, unhelpful explanation of how this border is done. I had hoped I would have a little bit more of the beginning of the border to show you guys this morning, but I didn't get, it didn't get done. So that's fine. Next week I hope to be able to show it to you completely done. So the border, you use all of the colors. So for this pattern I was using 3.5mm needles, or US 4, and I'm using Holst Super Soft, and the pattern calls for using 5 colors. So my colors, sorry, I'm just trying to catch all of my leftover yarn balls. Oop, 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 don't fall down. I gotta loosen up this guy. So anyways, so I've got 5 colors that I'm having an awful time trying to figure out how to show you all at once. This might not work very well. There we go. So the whole Super Soft, and I was using 5 colors. This pink was A, then the tan beigey color was color B, then C, D, and E. And I altered the order in the instructions in the pattern. Stephen West recommends to use your lightest color first, and then go from lightest to darkest, and then do the pop of color at the end, and then cycle back through starting with the light to the pop. So I'm going to do it that way. So my color A, this pink, is geranium. This one is, I believe, lather. Then the light purple is sweet pea. The second one is, the medium purple is damask. And the dark purple is plum. And I like these three colors, I really like the three purples. I love those three together. And I am enjoying this knit. I like the colors I chose. Stay. I really like the colors I chose, and I'm enjoying this knit. It was a mystery knit along that started back in October, and the first clue came out on October 8th on a Friday, and I had my first hand surgery 2 days earlier on the 6th. So I got behind right away. This is my third or fourth, I think my third Stephen West mystery knit along. I find it impossible to keep up with the clues. I cannot knit fast enough. And the first week I usually am able to keep up. The second week I almost keep up, and then by the third and fourth weeks, I cannot keep up. So I go into it with the expectation that there's no way I'm ever going to finish it during the month of October when the clues come out. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And so far I've been right. I cannot keep up with them. But that's fine. So I got behind right from the get-go by 2 weeks. And then I was slower knitting initially because recuperating. And then I had other things to work on. And then December rolled around and I had my second hand surgery. And I continued to be behind. So I am really hoping to finish it this week. Like I mentioned before, I would love to have the knitting done, have all the ends woven in, and have it blocked and 100% finished by Saturday. I am planning on working almost exclusively on that pattern, that knit all week. I'm hoping to be, aiming to be almost 100% monogamous on that. We shall see. And by doing that, I'm hoping I will be able to get it done. I do expect that the border is going to take quite a while. It's a decent sized border. It's a lot of stitches. It's a lot of stitches. So it will take a while to finish it up. Worst case scenario, I will have the knitting done by next week, but not the blocking. So either which way, I will be able to show you some decent progress, and hopefully I will come back next week and see if I'm 4 for 4 for finished objects every week. That's my aim. I'm hoping to have 4 for 4 track record. So that is my first of my works in progress. My second work in progress, which I did spend a little bit of time on this past week, not much, but a little bit of time, is living in my Fringe Supply field bag, and that is my hybrid knit along cable trellis design by Stephen West. I'm on a Stephen West kick right now. I'm gonna, once I finish these 2 shawls, I'm gonna take a little break from Stephen and work on some other things, but for now I am on a major Stephen West kick. But that's fine. So in this knit along that started on December 26th, that I actually did cast on December 26th, but I'm only working on it fairly slowly. Once Shawlography is done, this will see 100% of my attention until this is finished. I'm probably about, maybe getting closer to a third done now. I've still got quite a lot of work to do on this. But with the hybrid knit along, there were 2 designs that you could choose between. One was a triangular shape or an asymmetrical triangle, and the other was a crescent shape or like a half moon kind of shape. And I preferred the half pie, half moon shape. I prefer that shape in general for wearing. So I opted for cable trellis. It is worked in 2 strands or 2 different colors in a worsted weight yarn, and I'm using a bear yarn and a yarn that I dyed myself, this really pretty tealy color. And I showed that several episodes back where I talked about dyeing this yarn, the teal yarn. So I'm loving this knit. I really like, I love the look of this. I just kind of have it folded so I can show it to you a little bit better. But it starts out with this simple garter section, and then you have a section with stripes and this pretty cable in one of your colors, and then it goes into this kind of trellis type design, and that design will continue to widen out and broaden out as the shawl continues until you come up to the end with a relatively simple border. Stephen West simple kind of border. And I'm using a US 8 or 5 millimeter needles on this, and I'm finding it's working up relatively quickly. I really am enjoying the pattern. I've not done much. I've only gone from this little yellowy marker upwards, so I've only done 8 rows since last week, and I don't imagine I will do much more on this one in the upcoming week, unless doing the border on Shawlography takes a lot less time than I anticipate, which, who knows? Who knows? Come back next week and find out whether I was able to finish Shawlography and get more work done on cable trellis. But I am really enjoying, I'm really enjoying both of these knits right now. Now that I have that crisscross section finished on Shawlography and I'm onto the border, I'm enjoying it more again. I loved it up until the crisscross section, just that one row. Once I got past that, I'm back to loving working on it. I like the way it looks, and based on the pictures, it looks really neat once it's blocked and finished. So it was worth mumbling over the whole time I was working on that crisscross section. So yeah, well, it is what it is. So that's it for my knitting content this week. I am still dreaming of new cast-ons. I have a couple things in mind. I have 2 more cardigans I have in mind. One is something I will be making with this fingering weight leftover, this yarn, this yarn that I dyed with the rest of the bath that I had from the teal yarn I did for cable trellis. And I've been looking at a few, and one I saw, oh, what was it called? It's a Hohi Locatelli pattern. And it's kind of like a waterfall cardigan done in fingering weight, and I think it would look amazing in this. So that's the one I'm seriously considering. I'll put a picture of the pattern up here with the proper name of it, because I'm drawing a blank on the name. The style is a waterfall cardigan. Is it called Paradise? I'm gonna quit guessing, because I might be completely guessing. But that's what I'm thinking of casting on with this yarn. Not quite yet. I want to get these other 2 shawls done, or almost completely done. And the other one that I'm thinking of starting, it's, again, I can't remember the name. I'm real good at this, aren't I? I'll put a picture here and I will put the name there. But it's done, I think it's by Karen, the yarn, and it calls for Karen Simply Soft, and I have a bunch of that. And it calls for, it's a waterfall cardigan. It has a cable strip on the front, and then it has these expanding ribbing sections. Similar kind of as the top part of the Sunday cardigan was, but that part expands down into the bottom part of the skirt of the cardigan, so to speak, which will accommodate my belly, which is, after finishing Sunday cardigan, I'm paying attention to that. I'm still learning this whole knitting garments for my size and my shape thing. I enjoy the knitting, so I don't consider it a waste of time or a waste of energy. I am a bit of a process knitter. I enjoy the process of doing the knitting. So anyway, the picture will have been up here of that cardigan, and again, the name of the one I'm thinking of. And it calls for using 2 strands of Simply Soft held together. And since I have a bunch of that in stock, I don't have enough of a single color. So what I'm planning on doing is holding, it does call for 2 strands held together, but I'm planning on doing a marled effect. I love the marled effect. I know not everyone likes that, but I love that look. And I think it'll look really cool in this sweater. And I'm going to be using a dark navy blue and a purpley color held together. And the marled effect look, I did a little bit of a swatch, which is over on my desk there, out of reach. Real well prepared for this, aren't you, Karen? But I will be, I'm definitely think I want to cast that one on. That one's a free pattern on Ravelry. And the pattern does not look super complicated. And again, it's I think that one is on 8mm needles again, US 11. So it's on big fat needles, relatively speaking. So it'll knit up hopefully relatively quickly. We shall see. But it is one that I've got the right amount of yarn. My gauge works with the needle sizes recommended. And that might be one of my next cast-ons. So we shall see. And the third thing that's coming up, and someone mentioned this, one of my viewers mentioned this in the comments, I think last week, is upcoming in the next month or so, Sock Madness. I am always so excited for Sock Madness. I love Sock Madness. And the registration for Sock Madness will begin around the 1st of February. So next week sometime, registration for the competition will start. And then they typically have a warm-up pattern that comes out that we can start working on. So depending on what the warm-up pattern looks like, I may or may not cast it on. I don't always do the warm-up patterns because they don't always appeal to me, so that's fine, because I will have other projects to work on while I'm waiting. And then around the 1st of March, Sock Madness will begin in full force. So the qualifying round will begin somewhere around the 1st of March, and then I will be all in. And any whips I have at that point are going to be put to the wayside while I focus on Sock Madness designs. As soon as each round is done, I will go back to my other whips and until the next round of Sock Madness comes around, as long as I'm still in the competition. So I'm looking forward to Sock Madness. You will hear a lot more. You will hear a lot more about Sock Madness in the upcoming few months, because it consumes me for especially March and April, and sometimes into May. I'm usually knocked out by the time we get that far in the competition, because I don't knit fast enough with the detailed designs that we get. I typically don't knit fast enough to make it much past halfway through the rounds. which is pretty impressive actually when I stop and think about it. But I will natter a lot more about Sock Madness in subsequent weeks. So those are my plans. Finish my 2 whips. I have 2 whips that I'm considering starting. I suspect I will not do both. I might have to toss a coin with which one I want to do. I might opt for alternating back and forth with socks on the fine gauge and the larger gauge 2 strands of Simply Soft held together. I might alternate between those. I don't think I will cast on both of the cardigans at the same time. No, never say never. So that's about it. It's been pretty quiet and boring around here otherwise. We went over to some friends for supper last night. We got there about 4:45. Sat and talked, ate supper, talked, ate dessert, and talked and talked and talked. The 4 of us were all, we're talkers, all 4 of us. So we didn't leave until like 10:15, 10:30 last night. When I got up this morning, when I started talking, I'm like, oh, my voice felt like it was a little bit lower than normal just from the amount of talking I did last night. But we had a wonderful time visiting with them, so that was really nice. It's a couple that we've met recently, so there's a lot of chit-chat and getting to know each other, chatting. So it was a lot of fun. And other than that, it's just been work stuff. Alternating between getting work stuff done, papers written, working on academic stuff for my job, and class stuff and grading, and on breaks knitting. So that's kind of it's basically my life. When the semester is, when we're in the regular part of the semester, that is my life. Grading, classes, working on research, and knitting on my breaks. So that's about it. I will let you go now, and I hope to see you again next week. And come back and see if I'm 4 for 4. See if I have Shawlography done by next week. Cross your fingers for me. Hopefully it'll get done. Alrighty, take care, and I will see you guys again in a week. Bye.